will you anchor your argument on the dollar?
You see, what's happened is that there was a certain understanding which took place when the great oil shock took place, 74. Now, in 1974.
Yeah, 73, yes.
So that is the time when there was an understanding which was enforced globally that the denomination in which trade of oil will take place, that will be in dollars. So there was an artificial demand created for dollar, and that has remained constant for a long time, till the time Saddam Hussein was the first to challenge this and wanted to sell his oil in euros. And now you see the Iranians, for example, they want
to... Is that one reason why he went?
That is, I think, one of the primary reasons why he went, because he is targeting the jugular here. Because that's the strength of the US economy, that in a way which is artificially floated. American goods don't sell as much, but yet the American economy thrives. And he talked about your printing of the dollar then which takes place. So this is a very, very important element, and I see the same thing with the Iranians are trying to do. For example, the rupee trade in Iranian oil, I don't think the Americans want this precedent to go on, or the Chinese using the yuan to trade their oil, or barter coming into the play. So this is the financial element is extremely important element.
You see, the important point here is that in 74, the dollar was also dealing from the gold standard. So which means that you could print as many as you want. Okay, and so they want our businesses to be in dollars. They do not look kindly on the BRICS initiative to do currency swaps and do trade in our own currency. China,
I think that is,
mind you, out of the 4 BRICS members, the 4 BRICS members, 3 have agreed. And you know who's holding back?
Yes.
People in South Bloc. Why is the big question.
Why?
I don't know. I wouldn't like to cast aspersions,
well,
but it always worries me.
Let us take, this is a very interesting point on which we take a short break and then we resume Wide Angle. Hello and welcome back to Wide Angle. We were a very heated debate. Mohan Guruswamy was saying that 3 of the 4 BRICS members have agreed to trade in their own respective currencies except India. Why that is so is a subject of another debate. Why do you think, Atul?
Well, I really wouldn't know exactly why it is, but
supposing you were
I would think and look little kindly on the government, because till now, in case there is such an arrangement, the Chinese dominate, and till the time the India-China relationship is streamlined, which I think it must be in the larger geopolitical framework, if you look, till that time the comfort level will not be. I think that's where the Russians also have to come in as, in a way, giving us comfort. So anything with the Chinese has to have a larger Russian element in it as well.
Let us get back to the possibly constructive axis which is developing. Is there a possibility that the Americans and the Iranians will come together and start talking, create some kind of an umbrella, not immediately, but is something happening? Is something possible?
I very much doubt it, because if you assume that the Iranian establishment is a homogeneous establishment, that would be completely wrong. You may have moderates like Rouhani and Jawad Zarif and company, educated abroad, etc. Mind you, I am not casting any aspersion on them either, that they are pro-West or anything, but at least more exposed than others. Then you have the core like IRGC, and then you have the entire mullocracy which comes into play, and they are rabidly anti-American. So I doubt whether the Iranian system will be able to hold if it takes a turn which is overtly pro-American. I don't think that anything dramatic like that, we are ready for it right now.
It's an ancient country, many ways even more ancient than
civilization.
Us, civilization. And they have a view, a continuity of views. And it influences their thinking. I think they're too learned, too clever to fall into this
taken in by that.
As a temporary
Get
ally.
Involved.
Very much like India keeps talking about strategic autonomy. I think it's a well thought out thing. It's not something which comes out of the air. So because of our experience and our past, we say that these are all temporary things, ephemeral things. It'll move on. So I think Iran is not about to jump into bed with Americans.
Unlike, yes,
Iran can do pretty much a good job of holding that line. Funnily enough, Saeed, in 2009, I wrote a scenario for a war game, which was actually played out. And in that scenario, we had this exactly what is happening now.
Yes.
Of a Shia-Sunni.
Now let us come nearer home. You see this situation, we are looking at ideas and we are looking at the future possibilities, how this ISIS and this drama is going to play itself out. At the moment, our families of people in the Punjab and Bengal are in a great high state of tension and anxiety because of our 40 people who are arrested or taken hostage in Mosul. Now, in Mosul, what seems to have happened is that Atul Nujayev, who is the mayor of Mosul, took large volumes of money, and by all accounts now, the takeover was very peaceful. He said, look, just don't fight. These people knew that this is going to happen. And the Bengali element apparently said, oh, we shall stay on because we want our salaries. Otherwise, they had been received hints that, look, you can vacate and go away. Because Mr. the Mayor, he said, look, these ISIS boys are coming and we are going to be Sunnis in this battle. So all sorts of Sunnis were getting together, including the Baathis. The Mosul people are Baathis, the residual Baathist elements. This is now what. Let's consider what can the government of India do at this stage to get our people back.
Well, interesting, Saeed, because as you said, and I agree with that point of view, that it will be wrong to see it as ISIL or a terrorist Al-Qaeda, hostage-taking situation. I see a lot of power struggle going on within Iran between the ex-Baathists, Sunni tribesmen
in Iraq.
In Iraq, sorry.
Right.
In Iraq, vis-a-vis the Shia, Nuri al-Maliki kind of people. So, therefore, the tribesmen are the one who are doing the infantry work, let's put it that way.
Right.
And whatever I have known about having spoken to somebody who is in captivity, brother of somebody who is in captivity, is that they are being treated fairly well. What they were told was, before the cell phone battery died of one of the chaps who was inside, that their captors told them that if we leave you now, either you'll be shot by the Iranians or there may be a drone strike. We will leave you when it is safe for you to go. That's one element. Second thing is, there's a complexity to it. Do all the people want to get out? You talked about the Bengalis, but you look at the Kerala nurses. They too are not so keen to come out because of certain economic compulsions. So it's difficult for the government of India right now. I think they have to separate the two. The kidnapped ones have to come out, but the rest you'll have to deal differently. And this is a cascading crisis about which we can talk a little more further.
Mohan, you're saying something?
Yeah, I'm not even sure under whose custody those 40 in Mosul
exactly.
are. Today I read something coming that they're still under the custody of the original contractor who took them there.
Yes.
That he's hanging on to them. And there is some negotiation going on with him. Okay. As far as those nurses from Kerala are concerned who are in Tikrit, they have access to a phone, they're talking to the correspondents, and our news media, the private news media is more focused on, did somebody from the embassy call you up? Were you assured of help? First of all, we have practically, a very small embassy. We have an ambassador who's just been there a few weeks. And, but this whole emphasis on putting pressure on the government, getting the families.
We do have an ambassador there.
We do have an ambassador
but not in Damascus.
Not in Damascus. I don't know about Damascus.
It's an interesting situation. He has still not presented his credentials.
So Reddy
is gone. He's back now in Baghdad.
As a troubleshooter now, he has come over there. But the other ambassador who replaced Reddy has still not presented his credentials, and that creates issues in terms of protocol.
I see, yes.
But this whole business of getting families of the 40 families. Mind you're talking about families in Punjab. 40 families, Saeed. More people die in a bus accident. Okay, so don't make it out as if the whole of Punjab has got one member sitting inside. Only 40 families, 40 people. But you're putting them on TV, making it appear, putting pressure on a government. This is the last thing you need to do on a government which is constantly looking at so-called public opinion. You got to handle this coolly and dispassionately. And I don't think at this panel we should get into that, about what is the government doing. I think any government, irrespective of party, will do what best it can.
Barely coming.
Will do what is best.
It is suddenly coping with a crisis.
Will do what is best, and whatever its means permit. I read something nonsensical today. Indian Air Force ready to evacuate. That means, are you going to fly a 3-130 and suddenly land on a highway, pick people up and bring them?
I think it's not that difficult to get them out in terms of geography, Mohan. Because
we shouldn't be pushing that kind of thing as it
logistically it is not impossible, but I think this should not be dramatized at a very early stage of this government taking charge, because it is facing a crisis, and if you put them under unnecessary pressure, then all sorts of implications emerge. Yes.
Surely, because I don't see this as the end of the crisis of these 40. Because if the southern part of Iraq gets affected, which is the oil-bearing one, West Qurna, Majnoon, Basra, that's the real heartland of oil heartland. Then, and most of the Indians, for example, of this 20,000, are either in the south or in the north. So you may get these people out, but in case of, because of forces you can't control, the situation further aggravates and escalates, then you should be prepared for a follow-up crisis as well. And I fear that from a localized affair, it might become at least a regionalized affair if the southern portion is attacked or comes under fire.
There is a suggestion.
India gets 6.5% of its oil from Iraq, from the southern part, from Basra. That is not in the war zone. That is far away, 300 kilometers from the war zone.
I'm saying that if it gets affected, I'm looking at the
prognosis. I think it's very unlikely, because it's completely 100% Shia area. You got to get past Muqtada al-Sadr and the whole lot of people at Najaf and Karbala.
The Iranians will also come in.
The Iranians will also come in. So, to that extent, our oil supplies are not going to be hit. There might be an increase in international oil prices, but in terms of supplies, contracts, India is well covered and is comfortable.
Well, the discussion can carry on eternally. There is so much to discuss, but time, as always, runs out. And therefore, we, without arriving at any great conclusion, we believe that the 40 Indians who are in Mosul are, by all accounts, particularly my friend Atul Aneja, who's come from there, he's spoken to people, they appear to be safe. I think they may be in danger if they were allowed to leave at this particular juncture, because beyond a certain periphery, you do not know who is in control. So ISIS is there's a larger coalition emerging, and this coalition consists of, there's a Sufi group in Baghdad, which has joined in as Izzat Ibrahim has joined in as a Sufi Sunni group. Now, all these groups are there. The situation is a little lacking in clarity, but it is not as ominous as it could be made out to be, particularly in the context of these 40 Indians who are there. It is a tricky situation. Middle East is possibly changing. The big player here is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is undergoing serious change. By September, you will have a completely new power elite there, most probably. So, yes, we are on the edge of a change. This is a good time for India to re-engage with West Asia, which we had forgotten to do for a very, very long time. Goodbye. See you again.